applications and methods in Ireland as they lock down Ireland, even though they haven't had anybody. They've had 3 people, they said, who have died with COVID over the last week. The entire country locked down now for 6 weeks. So joining us now is Richard Proctor, Bathroom Economics. He has books on economics and the constitutions, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Of course, his book on economics, Bathroom Economics. He also has books on the Constitution, Saving the Constitution, a full commentary on it, as well as a Constitution, if you can keep it, to help to educate your children about the Constitution. And because they're not going to get any of that kind of education in the schools. So joining us now is Richard Proctor. Thank you for joining us, Richard.
Yes, good to be here again. Like to come on here, yes.
Good to have you. I was just talking about how Macy's is going to be firing Santa Claus this year, because, hey, you can't have any in-person Santa Claus stuff. But I think Macy's is maybe not going to make it through the holidays. I mean, there's a lot of big businesses that are struggling, have been struggling, because of the competition from the technocrats. And now they've been able to use this whole thing to further their technocracy. As I've tweeted out today, I said, it's not a bug, it's a feature. This is what the technocrats want to do to enslave us in their crypto world, right? Their cyber world, cryptocurrency and their control on the internet. I mean, how do you see this?
Let's just go back to the Macy's idea. No Santa Claus, no gifts, none of the traditional Christmas things. These are all patterns to destroy our economy. They want to destroy
and our society. And our society as well.
Oh, yes. All of these things. For example, the debt you just talked about a few minutes ago, the $27 trillion debt we've gone to. Nobody's paying any attention to that, even though it's doubled what Obama did. What's going on? Well, the more the debt is, the more money is created. Tyranny. We think of tyranny as something where some government is holding its citizens hostage, but with guns, okay? That's what we think of as tyranny. But tyranny comes in a lot of different ways. For example, creation of money is tyranny. How? Because when you create money, you create inflation, and inflation destroys economies. Hyperinflation destroyed Germany's economy. It's destroyed many economies. When you create the money that they're creating, it's tyranny to destroy us. And inflation is a tax nobody even thinks about as a tax. It's a hidden tax. Even the money you have in your mattress is taxed with inflation. You can't avoid inflation. And it's caused, yes, there's a good picture. It's caused by the creation of money. And by the way, that's not fast enough. Even if those are trillion or billion-dollar bills, that's not fast enough.
That's right. Yeah, they couldn't print all the paper. I mean, Venezuela can't afford to buy the paper anymore. They're shopping around and finding a new sucker to sell them paper, knowing that they're not going to pay them. They couldn't possibly print that much. Powell even said that. He said, well, we can't print that much. We just create digital credits. And that's really the even more dangerous thing. This is really what this week you had the IMF talking about how they were going to have a new Bretton Woods. And of course, it's going to be the third reset of the global currency. We had Bretton Woods right after World War II, and we had the U.S. was going to then be the world reserve currency backed by gold. They realized by early 70s that we weren't backing our currency by gold anymore. So they were very unhappy about that. So they created the petrodollar. Now here we are with a situation where these bankers, and especially the Federal Reserve, has leveraged us into so much debt, and we have this massive bubble that's going to burst. But now they're dumping more and more debt onto this, and they're going to do a financial reset into a cashless cryptocurrency controlled by the central banks. It'll be centrally controlled. And when we look at what they did back in the Great Recession, the banks wound up taking a lot of people's homes, and I think it's going to be orders of magnitude worse than this, because we've had a lot of the people who have been given debt procrastination, if you will, not forgiveness. They're saying, we're not going to throw you out of your home just yet. We're not going to throw you out of this business just yet. We'll let you roll for a little while longer. But this is like a massive balloon note that's going to come due, and nobody's going to have the money for this. And they're going to the banks are going to be the ones winding up taking everything, I believe.
All of these things would lead toward the destruction of our country, destruction of our freedom. think for a moment, if they had cryptocurrency, we didn't have any cash, not even any cards, just cryptocurrency. Well, it'd be a card or something with that. But the point is that they then control all the money all the time.
That's
Control
right.
of the money controls your life. Your debt, your mortgage payment is controlled by the Federal Reserve. You don't think that, but that's what's happening, because all they have to do is change it by 1%, 2%, something like that, and your entire monthly payment could change. And they could also go back on any current debt. They could say, well, you've got a 30-year mortgage at 2%, but we're not going to do that any longer. Now you're going to have a 30-year, just do it, just do it. You're going to have your 30-year mortgage will be 4%, and it's done. And that's how economics and tyranny come together.
Well, you're talking about inflation eating up the value of your savings. If they have your money, if your money is by and large just held in digital format in the banks, they can do a run on the banks and take all of your money right out of the bank. They can make it go away even faster than inflation with a negative interest rate. And they're talking about that. The European Union banks are talking about that. The Central Bank of the UK sent out a thing last week telling the banks, talk about how you're going to manage negative interest rates, because they're coming. They're coming in the UK. They're coming everywhere.
Yeah, a negative interest rate means that you pay interest for putting your money there. Yeah. You pay interest rather than they pay you. It's the opposite. Yeah. You put 10 grand in and they have a 1% interest rate, you're going to pay $100 a year for having your money in the bank. Best to keep it in your mattress. But if you keep it in your mattress, how do you do a credit? How do you do checks? How do you
keep your digital money in your mattress? That's why they want to go to digital currency. And, when we look at what they've done with interest rates, to me, it is absolutely criminal. It's organized crime. It's loan sharking. It was prohibited. It's called usury. Because we both remember a time when, you'd pay 6% for a home loan mortgage, but you could get 3% at the bank or something. And then we had the rapid inflation at the end of the 70s, and they took off the usury laws. Now we have a situation where they pay us already a fraction of 1%. And then they'll charge us 15, 20%, 30% or more on these credit card things. Now they got to get an even bigger spread. It's not enough that they pay us zero. They're going to pay us negative interest rates.
Which is not paying us anything. It's taking money out of your account. Yeah. Negative interest is the opposite of real interest. So that's right. You're not getting real interest. It's worse than zero interest. Negative interest is another way, like you just mentioned, to control our lives and our economy and everything that goes on. Digital currency you could have no money in your pocket.
Democrats at any level or ever talk about. Joining us now is Richard Proctor again, bathroomeconomics.com. What do you make of that, Richard?
Well, let's just talk about that. Liberty. Government is force. Government is always force. Liberty means the people have a say about government. That is not the plan. They don't want you to have any say about the government. They want you to be under their thumb in every way, shape, or form. And so even the stuff about constitutional and unconstitutional, nothing the Supreme Court can decide about constitutional is constitutional. They don't have the right to decide if something is constitutional or not. Again, they talk about packing the Supreme Court. We're going to do that. That doesn't make any difference. The Supreme Court does what the power wants them to do anyway. Thing. Not many months ago, weeks ago, the Supreme Court decided that California's law about banning and closing churches was constitutional. How stupid could that be? Come on. We know that that's not constitutional. Any thinking person. A medical emergency does not void the Constitution.
That's right.
Nothing voids the Constitution. Your rights are your rights. They're granted by God, and nothing government can do takes them away.
There's no exceptions to that. And yet I see, as people are looking at the Supreme Court, we had, it went out of the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday. Barrett was confirmed by the Democrats didn't even show up. They boycotted the hearing. So all 12 Republicans voted to move it forward to a vote, which is going to happen on Monday, 8 days before the election. This is the way the Gateway Pundit reported it. They said, in order to save the country from Roberts and the far left justices, Amy Barrett must be confirmed before Election Day. So wait a minute. So if we have the right Supreme Court justice in there, we're going to save the country, and especially save the country from another Supreme Court justice that was appointed by another Republican president. It's insanity, isn't it?
You know what they say? They say keep doing this, keeping doing the same thing is insanity,
That's
and
right.
expecting different results.
That's
Doing
right.
the same thing over and over, expecting different results is insanity, and that's exactly what's going on.
And of course, we have been doing the same thing for all this time. You know, before you had Reagan come in and they started saying, well, you know what, you're going to have to vote for Republican presidents because they're going to put Republicans, they're going to put people in the Supreme Court that are going to be pro-life. And this is how we're going to stop Roe v. Wade. Prior to that, they had actually started talking about how states needed to assert the 10th Amendment to protect life in their states. And that shut that all down. And so for the last 50 years, 40 years, we've been going by the idea that if we get, Republican president puts the right Supreme Court justices in there, that they're going to fix everything, not only with Roe v. Wade, but with everything else. And I'll tell you, that, folks, that Roe v. Wade is not going to be overturned any more than Marbury versus Madison. They gave themselves that power with Marbury versus Madison. And for the last 40 years, they've been telling everybody that Roe v. Wade is the law of the land, that they made that law. And that is the most important thing to them, because that right now is more the forefront of people's minds than Marbury versus Madison. The idea that they can even define when life begins. Don't you think that's the case?
You know, this concept that you've got here is very important. The Supreme Court decides something and nobody can change it. No, that's not constitutional. I'm going to read right here out of Article 3, Section 2, Paragraph 2. And the last sentence says, the Supreme Court shall have jurisdiction both as to law with exceptions and under the regulations as Congress shall make. Congress can determine what the Supreme Court can even say or do if
That's
they
right.
just would. That's what that sentence says right at the end of the paragraph in paragraph 2 of Section 2, Article 3. It says
So you mean, Richard,
Congress can control it.
You mean, Richard, that all of this speechifying by all these Republican senators about how important it is to put Amy Coney Barrett in because of protecting life and so forth, that they could do something about this and they're not doing it?
That's interesting, isn't it? Yes, amazing that they're not doing what they could do. Well, I'll say this, David. They don't even know that they can do it, okay? They don't even know they can do it. They don't know anything about the Constitution. They need my book. You know the book, Saving the Constitution, you just talked about? Yeah. All of those people need to read my book so they can understand what the heck they can do and can't do.
No, actually, the public needs your book. I think these guys who are all lawyers, I think they know exactly what's there, and I think they know what works out to their political advantage. They're using this. They want to keep these wedge issues around for their political advantage, and now we're starting to see that with other things like masks. You know, they're going to, we're going to keep the mask around and fight over them for the next 2 years, and we'll make this a vote for me or vote for him, because of the mask issue. They know exactly what they're doing, but the public needs to understand what's going on with this. So we can fix it. If they're not going to fix it in Washington, we can fix it in the states and the other areas.
Yes, Dave, every state could fix all these problems if they just had the gumption to do it. Every state legislature can nullify anything that's unconstitutional. They made an oath to defend the Constitution, Article 6. They made an oath. So since they've already taken an oath, they can nullify anything that's not constitutional in their states if they just had the gumption and the backbone to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the people. People needs to get involved here. Oh, I get all excited.
If we don't know what's going on, I mean, this is what we have here now. We come up to these elections and what we have here with government. Not only is everybody just kind of passively sitting back and saying, well, I know that if we get the right people in, then we're all going to be safe. And this is why everybody is left and right are so upset about this, because everybody believes that their future hinges on who is sitting in Washington, and they're not going to do anything to help themselves, to help their family, to help their community, or to build things up from the grassroots up. They've all become pacified and basically just political voyeurs. I was just talking to Michael Voris, a church militant, and it's like, I can't get people to do anything. They're just kind of sitting around on the couch watching what's going on passively, instead of getting involved and starting to take things back in their communities. And, it's not going to get any better based on who's on the Supreme Court. It's not going to get any better based on who's in the White House. It's only going to continue to get worse because we are giving them the power by not doing anything. And the more, and it's really this concentration of power in Washington is really being driven by us. It's being driven by conservatives as much as it is by liberals now, because it's conservatives who look to Washington to fix every problem.
Yep, that's right. And by the way, that particular picture that was on the screen just now, did you notice the eye at the top of the pyramid?
Oh,
that eye and that pyramid is the symbol of the Illuminati organization. That pyramid like that. And that global elite bankers. And that's it, guys. That's where we are. That's the march of tyranny. That's what's going on. And the masks are just another thing they're going to use, just like they do everything else. They get us conditioned. You know, you've heard of zombies. Some of the movies have zombies. Zombies are always mindless things that go around doing whatever the person that controls them does. Zombies. We are becoming zombies. We don't have to look for them. They're sitting on the couch in our living room. They're driving in their cars. They're going everywhere. We are zombies. We do not understand, know, or care about what's happening to us. We just do what we're told and say that's right because we're told to do it. That's what we are.
And what we're in desperate need of is brains.
Yes.
The zombies looking around for brains. They're putting a mask over our face. They're depriving us of oxygen. They're causing brain damage to our children. And all we're saying is, you know what we need? We need some brains. We need to have a backbone is what we need to have. We're going to be right back. Stay with us talking to Richard Proctor, BackThroughEconomics.com.